Uh,
You give yourself as a student 100%.
Hello, all, and welcome back to the NGP Talks. And here we have Mr. N. Manogaran, Head Academic Collaboration and Skill Development, BPL Technologies, Bangalore. Hi, sir.
Hi.
We are really glad to have you with us. Before we begin, I would like to ask you some personal questions. So, my question is that could you please tell us about your journey and what inspired you to get into this academic collaboration and skill development?
Thanks for this opportunity first. This has been 3 decades plus experience in medical devices domain. So I just started after my engineering in electronics. So started working as service engineer in the domain, and then climbed up the ladder with technical head and head customer care and also head sales. So the journey was like that. So I've been happy to be part of this domain for the simple reason there were 2 ideologies and my passion. One was electronics, so it was there. The second one, it's also kind of servicing to the community. It was part of that. It came as so it was a very interesting journey. So a lot of learning, and as any other technologies, they also kind of moved in. The innovations were there, and which kept you focused into the domain, never bored. So it kept us really moving forward. And there was a time then there are a few reasons why I thought that this academic collaboration is to be there, and that initiative to be taken by a company like BPL Medical Technology, being somewhat 6 decades plus there in the medical device domain. So we should give back to the kind of the student community, particularly who's studying the biomedical electronics or biomedical or electronics. So that's how we started. We should do something collaborating with the institution which will add value. See, we always found the very great initiatives are also done by the institutions today. At the same time, the connect or the collaboration could bring out something that what industry needs, and get closer to the industry needs. The curriculum can be little bit tweaked to that, to suit that, and work hands in hand so that both of the institutions get benefit. One, they are going to work for the domain. Second, that's how we get benefited. The institutions will get benefited because they are going to give the quality and knowledgeable people to the domain.
There is this industry and academia collaboration, which is going on trend these days. So I want you to take from your perspective, how important is this collaboration in preparing students, especially for the biomedical engineering students? And
so it's a good question. And let me just quickly brief few points on this. One, the academic, the syllabus is made with many kind of dimensions. Let's take, because there is today when we work closely, even the curriculum is going to get tweaked depending on what is the industry need initially. Otherwise, what will happen? There are some textbooks, there are some subjects. People go with that, and I'm not complaining anything about it. That's needed. But what happens when you need to be more today? Because the technologies keep changing. Let's take, for example, today, even you take a textbooks like, which are very common today for biomedical engineering. They will have, first publishing should have been somewhere in 60s or 70s. You will still find there came equipment block diagram with what was there then.
old data.
Old piece. Maybe they would have added some updates on that, but not fully. So as a result, what happens? The students never go beyond that. It is because that is the textbook referred very generally. There are few in the biomedical. And so that's not going to give them what is there currently today. So that is where this collaboration can definitely bring out what is it they kind of need. And second thing, the departments. Like earlier, people may say industry, okay, it's production, sales, or service. But today it's not so. There are many departments. There is a need. Thanks for the regulatory firms, and we need to definitely go with the kind of the regulatory guidelines, and which puts us also into various process improvements and various departments to come in, and that's how it works. So I feel that's the reason that it is gaining a lot more importance, working together.
Okay.
And I'm happy to be also part of some initiatives around this.
Okay, so that's great. And I wanted to add on to this point that it gives the students an opportunity to meet the industry before they get out from their college or from their course. And it gives them a different experience to know what it is before joining into the industry.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go for the next question, sir. My question is that what skills do you believe students should develop today to build a successful career in MedTech companies?
Okay. So one is, what skill sets? Let me come to this before, because since the collaborative efforts are going to bring in a good syllabus, let us say that way, or certain activities, or there are certain initiatives like this institute has taken, and from the morning I'm hearing many initiatives. So those things all planned to give them the best, which industry needs. Now the question is, I look at from the student's perspective. What is important is that you give yourself as a student 100%. That is something very, very important, whichever is the course. So that will help them to be ready for the industry. Because let's say if there are 100 students going out, the 100 student skill sets are not going to be fit with any of the kind of the industrial need. Yes, we can equip with the domain knowledge. If I'm working on biomedical, I'm going through various devices, could be or process or the solutions. Let it be hardware or software. All these are being taught. Now, as a student, it's important for me to give myself 100% to that, because there is someone else is also doing that, taking care of that, what should be done for that. If they do put their efforts 100% for those initiatives, I think that will be the definite requirement. One, that will prepare themselves to be ready for industry first. Second, very important, the attribute, what they need is the communication. See, this is something that sometimes it's missing. I see in a kind of students forum, I go and talk to them. It is mostly many of the people, they don't open up. They may have many things. They may not ask even, or they may not be participative in the kind of the discussion. I feel that definitely needs to be kind of improved, because as an industry, it's all about how you are able to express yourself, because it's a communication across. That let it be I'm handling the internal customers or external customers. It's so important that I need to communicate. So that is a definite skill set. I look at it and keep in touch with the kind of current thing, what's happening in the domain. There can be some innovations can take place. You are able to know that there's something more happening in this. And when you are working in any selected industry, collect some kind of information. What is the kind of opportunities available? And such kind of stuff. And I mean, it is interesting to see many students are started, posting in LinkedIn, and they are being active now today, connecting with the kind of industry. I think those skills also definitely needed, because you need to be kind of visible.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Hope I
Yeah,
given the
you really did, sir. It was like telling you give the 100% and the rest of it will follow.
follow. Yes.
Yeah. And the entire answer was like that. Yeah. Thank you, sir. And moving to the next question, like how do you see AI transforming biomedical engineering and technologies?
Yeah, like any other technologies today, AI is going to play definitely a big role. Obviously, in the medical devices industry too. It's the name that we spoke so much, but already AI is part of many medical devices. What it can do is to the community is something very important in medical devices. A kind of preventive. You can give in advance. Some of the AI tools can give in advance that this is the kind of the problem that I'm going to have, maybe after 1 year or in 6 months. So there are a lot of AI solutions have come in as a kind of diagnostic tool as such. So that will really also, I feel it will be helpful. I feel like ECG, if you take it, there are so much of research, there are so many organizations using that and say when the MI can happen for the given by studying the ECG. So that's what they say. And we have already started giving the features like interpretation in ECG. So this is all AI based. So there is a data available and that's going to kind of verify and going to communicate back, seeing the various values and the reports. It will report back saying that, okay, this is the kind of the problem. These are the measurements. So these are all some of the automation in facility, and a lot of imaging solutions are coming today, including there are some of the painful process like mammography. They can be kind of come with a different solution process today with the help of AI. And there are various things. I think in a way, it is not just look at it from, there are some of the AI solutions probably very entertainment oriented, let's take it. But in this industry, it's going to be very helpful, definitely, to the kind of community.
Okay, it's going to be a serious innovation type of things. Yes. Okay, so that's really fascinating because will AI be replacing humans in terms of biomedical engineering and all the innovations which is happening? Like, could it really?
Yeah. So let me explain. Okay, that's a fear across everywhere, but this is the fear that always occurred when any new things coming in. There are certain, what I also hear it from the kind of industry, not here as a general AI, that there are certain routine jobs. Let's say if I have to verify tally, those kind of things may get affected. But if you talk about, let's say, the device industry, it's going to add on the value. So AI can give more opportunity. Let me put it in one viewpoint. Let's say that today we are going to have a AI tool in a device which is selling, let's say, 1,000 without AI. Now we are going to differentiate the product which is going to benefit the patients and the medical institutions. So when we give that as a solution, that I'm only giving a solution in the product, where we were selling 1,000 may become 10,000. And the relevant industry, let's say to make 10,000, we need people. And to test, we need people. So this is how the industry will grow. I think in my view, it is a kind of a fear. It may not be across everywhere. So it should be the kind of routine. And now what will happen, with this fear, I need to differentiate myself today. Let's take that I was waiting for only a kind of IT, let's say some kind of one particular, let's say, code writing. Now the AI is going to replace me, but I will look for my better skillful for me. So I will update myself to become competent and relevant. So I personally feel it's only a fear, and we all need to be ready.
We all have to be more competent. Yeah. Okay, sir. So we'll move on to the next question. Like, what emerging trends in medical devices and healthcare technology excites you the most?
Yeah, one is, as I told you earlier, the preventive care. So the AI kind of thing definitely can bring out a preventive, which can say. And we are moving towards personal care. All of us know in the recent days that wearables have come. We are all wearing certain devices which can talk about our health. And those things are already there. But what is going to come invariably is the passion care at home. So we are all, I think, slowly moving towards that for various reasons. One, the connectivity has become easier. Second thing, it has become too expensive to be inpatient. And there's no time. Even if most of the hospitals, very leading, let's take like KFCH sometimes, that they will have the patients in the queue who have to be really taken care. So the post-operative, for instance, they are trying to shorten, let's say, because they need to give the admissions for the newer who are in needy. It's not. So what they also look at it is the post-operative care. Why can't it be at home? So the things are moving towards that. There are some devices worked upon so that the patient vital can be monitored and so on. So I think this is one area definitely. And already we seen about the robotic surgeries, which have become very useful, and that will be more